Oh, excuse me. I made it, as you can see. Um, I don't know how long I'm going to be live, but I am here now. Last night was interesting. I got to see my buddy yesterday, my ex roomie. I call him. We were roommates for like my last year and a half of school. Um, and independently, he's gone through his whole, like, there's a lot of people in my life, or a lot of people that I'm connected to, that have gone through significant journeys. And he's 26, so he hasn't even gone through his Saturn return yet. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess like I started. Excuse me. The air is so dry, and I have no water. And the the bottled water is like super expensive, so I got some ice and I let it melt in a cup, and that water's gone. But I had more ice that's in the bucket, and I might have to dip a cup in there. Let's see what's up. But anyway, I guess I shouldn't talk too much. Well, I will demonstrate for you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the Wild Unknown Alchemy and the Lafruma Healing Oracle cards. I'm going to get 2 runes and 1 alchemy, one alchemical process. And I'm going to do all 12 signs. I'm going to do as many of the 12 signs as I can do before. Oof, I don't want to. Sure. We'll do Pisces and then Scorpio, Cancer, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Boom. So anyway, Ash, I mentioned in the last time I was live, Ash is a rune that I've been seeing like constantly, like nonstop, almost every day. Today it wasn't, but I forgot because the Ash is one of the runes. Ash is, yeah, one of the runes that Reem raked live back when she was Miss Reemy Healings. Now she's been reborn. Is it a rebirth if it's who you always were? As the rare gazelle. And we raked it as a community rune, and Loki came out, and it was very like the top of the room was very trickstery type energy. Like the camera fell at one point. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, Reem, you're gonna burn your hair. You're too close to the candle." And Reem was like, "I'm not as close as I appear. It's fine." And I guess it's interesting because that rune has been coming out a lot, and for the past like week and a half or so, at work especially, it's like there would be something like the energy of minor inconveniences and annoyances has been super prevalent, but it'll either be something that I like have to use my brain to figure out, or something that I have to be like in like or be intuitively led to a solution. Like at work, it'll be somebody asks for something that I've never used, but I know that at some point within the past year and a few months that I've been here, I've seen something. So I'm like, where did I see it? Where did I see it? Where would it be? Hold up. Is this just, oh my gosh. I can flip the camera. Um, this is what I was talking about. Come through synchronicity. See this? Because I was talking and I noticed this, and I was like, wait, does that move? And lo and behold, oh, okay, let me not tip the whole thing over. It does. So this is East. Well, this is Sigil, It's sigil like this when you can see the lines like this, and then these two are not sigil, sunstetta from yesterday. When it's fully out, that's east, but it's like it's folding and then pressing and compacting. So imagine it's like this, but like a lot of these, and that's how the east compacts into, or that's part of the whatever east sigil process is. So there you go. I was looking for something to illustrate yesterday. I couldn't find it, and then here it is today. So anyway, it'll be these things that I'm like trying to. Actually, I do like it better when it's like here. I feel like the angle was a little better before, but it's fine. Yeah. So it'll be things that I'll be intuitively led to. And by that, I mean like I'll just feel a nudge to go to a certain room and to look in a certain place. And it's like, oh my gosh, I found it. It's right here. So yesterday, my bus is supposed to pick up at 4:45 p.m. And I get out there because I was tired, and partially because I was procrastinating because I thought I had more time than I did. So I left the house like not a lot later, but when it's that close and you wait that long, significantly later than I wanted to. And so I arrive at like 4:38. Well, first, so I get an intuitive nudge to put in the pickup location on my phone GPS and to watch it as we're going, because we go to the wrong spot. My dad is like, well, your mom said it's at the truck stop, and I'm like, well, I put in the address and it's telling us to go further down the street. Thankfully, there's like a 2-minute drive between where it was and where it could have been. So we're sitting at where it was. I look at the ticket. It says boarding begins at 4:25. It's 4:40, but it leaves at 4:45. So I'm like, because there was a part of me that was like, do I just sit here and wait and potentially miss the bus, or do I say something so I can go on this trip? And I was like, yeah, I'm not missing this trip. So I was like, hey, like I put it in on the GPS and it says that we're supposed to go this way. And he's like, well, your mom said it was here. And I'm like, well, this is what the tickets say. So we get to where the tickets say. It's like it was like 4:38 when we got there. So it's like 4:41. Again, it's like a 2-minute drive. And we see an empty bus and nobody's on it. So I'm like, oh, maybe the bus driver like ran into this hotel motel thing, this hotel, to like go to the bathroom, and like no one else is on the bus because, you know, why would they be? And then it's like 4:45 and there's still no bus. And the whole thing is like, the bus will leave without you. If you're not there, it will continue going. So as I'm standing outside this empty bus, I'm trying to call the bus people to be like, hey, like, I'm in the right spot. I didn't see the bus where we were. I don't see the bus. Like, it wasn't where they thought it would be. It wasn't where it said it would be. What's going on? And I'm like, dude, I'm like, I know I didn't miss this bus. How am I going to save my weekend if I miss this bus? Everything I booked is non-refundable. So I'm on the phone trying to call these people. They're asking for like a number. I'm trying to find the number. The whole time my mom is like trying to call me, and I'm declining her call so I can find out where this bus is, but she's trying to be helpful. She might watch this. And again, like, she's trying to be helpful because she doesn't want me to miss the bus either. And she's like, it said it's like the station, it's at a BP. It picks up at a BP gas station. And we're like, and my dad was like, oh, that's what the truck stop was. The truck stop was not a BP. The spot that it picks up at is not a BP anymore. It's a Shell now. But I'm like, because I took the bus one time, and I'm pretty sure it picked up where it says it would pick up on the ticket. Hola, Janelle. Happy Sunday. How are you doing today? Also, I'm using my phone, so If I miss comments later, it's because they're tiny and they're not permanent. They're impermanent. Um, and like I'm trying to call the people, she's trying to call me. So my dad is still there. So he's like, your mom is saying this, your mom is saying this. And again, like, so by this point it's like 4:48, and I'm like, so we go back to the truck stop, another 2-minute drive, and it's not there. But I'm like, let me go into this gas station, or let me go into the gas station. And I'm asking the dude, and he's like, I have no clue what you're talking about. I'm sorry. And so I go back out and I tell my dad, I'm like, I put in the address. I'm pretty sure this is where I got picked up last time. So we go back. And then I call the people without interruption this time. And they're like, yeah, like the bus is 5 to 10 minutes out. Like it'll be there. It's just late. And I was like, okay, thank you. So I didn't miss the bus. It was a whole thing. My mom was like, oh, sorry for whatever. I was just trying to be helpful. And I was like, I know, but like, I'm telling you, I'm calling the people who know, you know, I'm calling the people who can give us updates, like real time. And it worked. I didn't miss the bus. And I'm here now. But as I was like reflecting on that whole experience of potentially missing out on my vacation, my little weekend getaway, I was like, oh, Ash did have all that Loki energy, didn't it? But like I said, in some ways it was guiding me to use my intuition a little more or whatever. So oh, oh. Hold up. I just gotta this might freeze for a second. Okay, sorry. I also have to pay attention because the friend that I'm coming to see might message me, but he had a birthday party to go to yesterday and he's hungover. And I didn't sleep the greatest last night, so I'm also like not in a rush to go anywhere or do anything. Like chilling in a hotel was also fully part of my plan. Um, so these are shuffled. We'll cut them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull one alchemy card. I'll have all the cards face down. Oh, I want to do one. I'll do one for me first, just to see if Loki has anything to say. And then we'll get into first the water signs, and then the air signs, and then the earth signs, and then the fire signs. So I went up and down the zodiac by element, starting with Pisces, ending with Sagittarius. Starting with Jupiter, ending with Jupiter. Let's go. And then we'll cut this right here. Oh, it's there. Let me not be too rough. What's that a picture of back there? Some crocuses. Those probably aren't crocuses, but that's the flower that popped into my brain. So for me and my shenanigans, the alchemy is Jupiter. We're starting with Jupiter and we're ending with Jupiter. It's number 6. There's a lot of gold on one finger. The symbol for Jupiter is on the palm. And then there's something coming off of the thumb. Oh my gosh, that's my camera hole. I'm just playing. It's like Earth. But the last 3 fingers are sort of empty. Jupiter is coming up with Condor, Cosmic Doubt, Ulcer number 44. Oh Oh my gosh, it's Blooming Rose. How are you doing, Blooming Rose? And then Calc, Mortar, and Anchored. 34. 44, 34. I can't see when I do these. Maybe you can like pause and read the poems if you want, if the quality is good enough. Because when I use that Go Live with Me feature, the video was looking a little rough. Goodness. I've missed you too. I'm glad to hear you're well. Where's my, is that my battery? I don't know where my battery is. I'm just going to leave this. So Jupiter is coming out with Condal and Calc. This is like a fire pit. Condal is the fire. And there's like this, it's always like this phoenix, fiery serpent sort of dragon energy. And then with Calc, like this looks like brickwork. So that's why it's making me think of a fire pit. It's creating a space for this expansion where it won't disturb anything or it won't destroy anything. It's almost like sometimes pure, expansive, creative energies can come with a fair amount of destruction or destructive energy, but it's where we put the focus. When we're in the creative, we're not necessarily thinking of everything that we're sacrificing in order to birth the creation. And so it feels like, again, it's just like creating a space. Trust the ether light you fear is not sincere. Maybe it's just trust the ether light. Ether light is what my eye immediately went to. And it's interesting because I pulled a rune before I did this, and it was Sigil, the sun rune, and then Perth, cosmic life force. So it was like the sun and then cosmic life force. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But with Calc here, that's a Saturnian influence. This is Jupiter and Saturn working together. So that Jupiter, again, it's so that Jupiter can expand in all the ways that it needs or wants to without swallowing nearby planets or the moons of other planets, without crowding. And for me, that reads a little Virgo. Virgo for me is like really good at compartmentalizing things, but not necessarily in the negative way. It's good at utilizing space efficiently. And so it's like Pisces is the ever expanding sort of outward, and Virgo is the ever expanding sort of inward. So anyway, that was me. Or that was everything I was just talking about as far as all this Loki foolishness. Pisces, gonna mark you down for 1850, we'll just say 19 minutes. Pisces, your alchemy is Veneris, Venus. Your runes are Lafruma and Perth, that cosmic surge I was talking about. This was at the bottom of the deck. 58 and 14. 58 is a 13. 13, 14. And I have the book here. This is making me think of a seed. Oh, and it's number 4. This is making me think of a seed. Venus is interesting because it feels like Venus has been on a journey of learning to truly love herself. for whatever reason, it's like Venus got knocked off of her square. And it's like usually when that happens, she goes to Mars because Mars always wants Venus. And Mars is the one that like gets her to feel confident about herself again. But Mars was going through its own process. And so Mars was like, no, I'm not going to be the person there to always tell you this or to make you feel some type of way. And then you leave after you get what you want from me. I love and respect myself too much for that. And now I know that there are ways that I can be honored and seen and valued and accepted. And so I don't need what was never love from you. And then that forces her to do the same for herself. And so now when Venus enters a situation or when Venus is present in a situation, it's not because there's like someone that needs to make her feel that she needs to make her feel beautiful or like to tell her how desirous she is. You know what I mean? And so there's a depth to her. It's almost like the energy of Venus before was kind of superficial. But now Venus is like, she's gotten her alchemical gold through her process and she's taking it to, it's like her womb, but it's like the core of her being. And now her beauty will radiate from the most inside. And it will be seen and it will touch the most outside. So for Pisces, you know, again, it's a journey of like self-love and self-acceptance. Maybe there are things that, it's like there are things that you loved about yourself that other people love about you. You know what I mean? It's like if other people tell you how talented you are with the mandolin, and that's like all you hear all your life. It's a little Leo, or like shadow of Leo. There's a little bit of Leo influence, but people tell you how talented you are at the mandolin, and so like you know you do your mandolin thing, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're great, you're amazing. So whenever you're on hard times or like you try to branch out and do something different, it don't work. You go to the mandolin, you get praised. But then all of a sudden, it's like people are like, okay, yeah, like we know that you're great at the mandolin. Like we don't have to keep telling you. And then you're like, this isn't the reaction that I always get. And so you get the opportunity to go deeper within you and see what you love and appreciate about yourself. And it may be things that you didn't necessarily share or express because everything was all mandolin all the time. It's also partially what people expected from you, too. But when you bring all of that, when you take it out of the hands of other people, and then you move it further and further inside of you, it's almost like it reaches this point where it's like there's an empty socket and you put the light bulb in and then you become that lighthouse. Oh, it's always shifting. If this just goes flat, I apologize. Is Jupiter only going to be in Aries for like a year? Because I was looking at a retrograde calendar and they're like Jupiter retrograding Taurus at some point in 2023. I'm like, what? So not even a year? I know not every planet spends the same amount of time in every sign because of how their orbits are set up. They're elliptical. But yeah, it's like there's this socket that, oh, I love it. Because you see, there's this one out here, and then there's this one here, and then there's one right here. It's like we're bringing it closer and closer and closer into the self. And then when you plug it into that internal one, that's when you get like this cosmic surge that just like beams outward. So reads like a journey of self-love for Pisces. But it feels like, again, it feels like it's a little deeper than just self-love. Because, and Venus is exalted in Pisces, which can make this even more rough, low-key. Because, again, it's like the whole Mars thing. If Pisces is her place of exaltation, but she's not feeling it, it's like, what's going on? You're the one that's supposed to really love me. But then it's like, you're the one that's supposed to love you as well. So, all the best with that, Pisces. I mean, it energetically feels like Venus has already gone through all that. Ergo, therefore, it would energetically feel like you would have as well. But, we come into things in our own time. And even if we've gone through the journey of something, even if we've gone through the healing of something, when it comes to put it into practice, in my personal experience, and I think in the experience of at least a few other people, when we do something for the first time or for the first few times, all of that old stuff has a tendency to also arise. But it's about having the presence in the moment, or having the spiritual and or physical support to be reminded that like these aren't valid for you anymore. It's just an old pattern, old thought habits coming up because of the situation that you're in, but you don't like, it doesn't bind you anymore. I think shine brighter. 1 second. This is my friend, so it might be over after this. We'll see. Okay. So this might be over soon-ish. There we go. I was like, you set up before. Come on. I'll try not to touch the table. Scorpio. And then whatever I don't finish now, I guess I'll just leave the cards and then do when I get back later. 28:08 for Scorpio. Scorpio, you get Kaput Corby, the Raven's Head. I might actually read this one because this one was pretty powerful from what I remember. It's number 47, which is an 11. XL40 VII 7. You're an extra large 7. Ooh, I kind of like that. This has that extra large 7 energy. So if 7 is your spiritual, it's a number of like spiritual enlightenment. It feels like there's more. You get Candle. Who had Condor? Oh, that was just the general. I love and it's the first card every time too. Candle, La Fruma, Condor. You got Candle, Candle Daystar. And you also get Wikened, Watcher, Animal Totem, 64 and 42. $53 would be between these, right? 11. Yeah. 5364. Oh, 47 is an 11. So this is interesting because there's an animal in here. This is the 11 that sits in between the 42 and the 64. And it's making me think, because I'm using the runes, of Hunin and Moonin. Hugin and Moonin. It's making me think of Odin's. What if I just put this like here? And this super awkward. It won't slide anymore. Then I can move this back over here. Sure, why not? It's making me think of Odin's ravens, because we have the animal totem card and this day star energy. But it's like, I don't know if Odin necessarily used his ravens, I don't want to say correctly, because it's almost like in order to get their sight, he like dominated their functions. And so any oversight that Odin would have had, his ravens would have had. Anything that Odin wasn't able to see, his ravens wouldn't be able to see, even though they were naturally, organically able to see them. But it's like in dominating their consciousnesses and basically possessing their bodies or whatever. It might have been the intention to like take on their abilities as his own, but that's not how it happened. Because that would have been a little bit more cooperative. The Raven's Head, this is initiation. Oops. Sorry. 1 second again. All right, I'm back. So it's going to be a second, which is fine, which means I might be able to like get through this. Or not all of them probably, but at least some. Do I wanted it to do? Wait, if I do that here, I can do the same here, right? Maybe? I don't know. Okay, let's tilt this up a little bit. Oh. You know what? If I gotta fight with the camera, I'll fight with the camera. It's fine. I like it here better. That's fine. It's not something to be dominated, Scorpio. And you're not Odin, so hopefully. Though alchemy is filled with a myriad of open-ended symbols, the Raven's Head has a precise message. It arrives to mark the beginning of the work. This card indicates something has occurred, known or unknown, to initiate the spinning of the alchemical wheel. With its mighty churning, things are about to change on every level. The raven's work cannot be undone, just as the pill cannot be unswallowed or the pearl turned back to sand. You may be overwhelmed or think the journey ahead is not for you. Your doubts matter not to the raven, as its appearance signifies it has chosen you. You are ready and the moment is now. Can you go back to the way things were? Can you pretend nothing has changed? The raven calls a clear no. It does not apologize, as it knows your destiny is great. And you're sitting with candle. The thing that I like about candle in the definition or in the meaning it was assigned or the meaning that came forward as opposed to condor is that there's no doubt in this. And so if you watch the last live I did, when the wind was completed, it created this like flag. I saw a wind as I was like shuffling. It created this flag to let somebody know that you were ready. So the work that you've done to this point was seen. It was noticed. And they're like, oh yeah, you're ready. And there is a sort of relentlessness that I think Scorpio would appreciate it more post work than like in the work, probably. Because it is very persistent. It's like for any fixed stubbornness a Scorpio might have or think that they have, this energy is even more so. Um, and the pearl cannot be turned back in the sand. It's like the things that you know, the things that you've experienced, the wisdom that you've come into, it can't be undone. So also don't let your circumstances or don't let the occurrence of something that don't let any happening convince you that what you've worked for you haven't gained, because you have. It's just about taking it further. Candle and Condor, Hod and Baldur, the micro and the macro, two locks on one door. Two flames, not the same, but lit from one match. The mortal lighted in Midgard burns as a candle here, yet blazes immortal as ether there. We guard our delicate light from being blown out again and again and again. Know you are eternally ignited. Two elven keys are required to unlock the door back to there. Trust your flickering wick holds your flame, hail and sure. That's the poem for Candle. So with those two candles, with the here and the there, that gives this an interesting twist, because it reads as the same, but it's just where the watcher is. It's almost like the watcher wasn't over here. Usually when it seems like usually whenever watcher energy comes out, it's like I'm over here and the watcher is over here watching me. But it feels like you're over here and the watcher is like way over here. And you start, like, as you're doing your thing, you start flickering with the candle, and then you like fully ignite. And when you like the flickering catches someone's attention and the full ignition gets them to come like, oh. So it's like you kind of do whatever you're doing, it's powerful. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Scorpio to be doing something powerful, because it is Scorpio. I hope you're ready. If I could title this for Scorpio, like, I hope you're ready. I know you are. You know you are. I mean, it can be one of those things where we know we're ready, but we're still not ready because we know we're ready. You know what I mean? And so if you know you're ready, then that means you have to be ready. And then you're like, oh, well, maybe I want to like play in those old patterns a little bit more. You know, maybe I didn't fully heal, or maybe I don't know everything that has been revealed to me. I was like, no, you do. You do. Don't be scared, Scorpio. Don't be intimidated. Cancer. I already timestamped you at 38 minutes. We're going to change it to 38:25 because I was still talking. No. Yeah, 38:25 because I was still talking to Scorpio. Cancer, you get sublimatio, sublimation. Your runes are Avel and Earth Magen, or Earth Magen, Earth Magen. The original birthright and thy earthly power. You get the card of birthright and power, earthly power. Now, sublimatio isn't a card that I see very often at all. The opposite of this is what I see more so, and that's the dissolution. In the dissolution, the dove is flying into this void portal thing, but in sublimation, it's flying out. Now, last time I read for you, Cancer, you were sort of in transit from one shell into another, and then you got locked out of both. And so things were very like, feels like you were very raw without those shells. And so you were almost like extra sensitive to certain things. And it might have been the things that you guarded yourself against the most, but it was putting you in a position to, it's almost like when you're when you go from shell to shell, or when you're always inside of your shell, your skin doesn't thicken. Like you stay like jelly almost, because your body has to fit whatever shell. But without the shell, it's like your skin can harden. And then you can occupy your own vessel without the need for a shell. You can be more fully who you are without the need for diminishing or coping mechanisms or trauma responses to certain things, or maybe even a fair amount of toxicity. It's like, you ain't got to be toxic no more, Cancer, because, maybe your environment's changed, or maybe it's like maybe you've changed to the point where you don't allow other people or your environment to change you. And so you come into a sort of strength, thy earthly power. Aethel is also legacy. Legacy is it's something that someone is born with, just like a birthright. Legacy a lot of times feels like a lineage. And that's either a legacy that you're born into or a legacy that you create. Because of what you do in this life, those who come after will have you as their lineage. 23 is a 5. That's Aethel. Arithmetian 60 is a 6. Sublimatio is 67, which is a 13-4. It's funny. So from the first was number 6. Pisces was number 4. The second was 47. Cancer is 67. So what we're doing is we're moving the thing from one side to the other. When it's VI, it's 6. But then it was IV, which made it 4. It was XL, which made it 40. Now it's LX, which makes it 60. So there's this, we're all in this together. I'm going to read Sublimatio for you. I'm probably going to read most of these. We started with planets, though, so, didn't necessarily have to. 67. Oh, that's 57. I was like, that's not the card I'm looking at. Hello. 67. 61. Oh, you're over here. Are you in the last section? Sublimatio, sublimation, elevation, rising, and flight. Sublimatio is the great alchemical operation of air. It occurs when there is enough heat to change a solid substance into a gas, causing it to rise up, up, and away. Somebody did get this. Was it you, Cancer? It might not have been. I honestly can't remember who got this, but I think it might have been you, Cancer. Because the last time somebody got this, or maybe it was Gemini, the last time somebody got this, and it was this energy of like, or was it Taurus or Aries? I don't know. I don't remember clearly. It was this energy of like, your path is different. You go directly from solid to air. You don't have to pass through the liquid phase. So you would be doing yourself a disservice by trying to path align to someone else, by trying to like make your journey look like mirror somebody else's journey. And it could be someone that you respect a lot. And it's like you can respect somebody and realize that their work isn't necessarily your work, or their path isn't necessarily your path, right? They do say that imitation is the best form of flattery or whatever. But it's like, that's not how you work. And the thing that I loved about sublimation being air is that it's like, that's what you get to experience when you're not in your shell. When you're in your shell, you miss out on air. And it's the air that I don't know if it like oxidizes your skin or whatever, but that's what makes your skin hard enough to hold its own sort of shape. So it's like you're taking on a new form, but that new form is the form that you were always meant to sort of have or hold. The things that you're coming into now were always yours. It's just that it's almost like circumstance put you in a position to, it's like when you're in a mode of like surviving something, or like when you're making ends meet or doing the best that you can, there's a lot of like frivolous extra stuff that you just don't have the capacity to worry about because you have to take care of the things that you need to take care of. And being in the shell helped you take care of the things that you need to take care of. But now, just like you outgrow one shell and you go find a bigger one, you've outgrown the need for a shell. That's why you're locked out, or why you were locked out. And again, it's a lot. I don't want to underestimate how much it feels like um, you would have to feel, or how sensitive you might be to things, because it feels like there was always a guard or always a barrier there. And sensitivity isn't bad. I mean, I'd say for Cancer, it might be your superpower, or you can make it into one. Therefore, when sublimation is present, there is an aspect of celebrated elevation, of ascending above and gaining a greater perspective. Birds in flight, mountain peaks, ladders, and balloons are all sublimatio images. As with all the operations, sublimatio has a shadow potential. Through ascension, there is a risk of separating from others, of sensing oneself higher or above. This risk is particularly great in spiritual traditions that offer a linear model of achievement. The divine alchemist rises humbly and supports the upliftment of others, always in touch with the cycle of humanity. Service is the natural balancing agent for sublimatio. It will be the next rung on your ladder. So that's basically like it's an ego trap, and it's an ego trap in the way that like it's almost just like how people are, right? It's like when you become accomplished at something, or when you do something challenging, you feel Six of Wands. You feel tarot card, tarot card, tarot card. You feel the weight of that achievement. You feel the weight of that accomplishment. And when there are other people who haven't done it yet, it naturally makes you feel like, oh gosh, maybe that's the phone being like, you're getting off the point. Um, but it's like it's natural to feel that like there's something that you've done that others haven't done, and because you've done it, there's some kind of advice that you can give, or there's some kind of mentor role that you could hold or play for them. Um, and all of that is true, but it doesn't make you any better than anybody else, because just like your path is different from other people's, their path is different from yours. So it might not be for them to do what you've done in the way that you do it, or to accomplish what you've accomplished in the way that you went about accomplishing it. And if that's the case, what do you really have to offer them? And that's the same for like the opposite is also true. If your path isn't someone else's path, even if you can respect and admire deeply all that they've put into getting where they are, ultimately, what do they have to give you on navigating your path besides encouragement? Besides that, like, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, I don't know if they can necessarily tell you how to navigate, you know what I mean? Because their method is different. You completely bypass the liquid phase. You go from solid right to gas. I mean, again, you come out with the card of original birthright, legacy, and earthly power. So, but service being the next rung on your ladder, it might be you learning how to manage your assets, I guess. in a way that doesn't breed like contentment or all that ego stuff, right? Now, other people are going to react to you the way that they're going to react to you, and that's not your job or responsibility to control how someone else receives something, right? But at the same time, it's not for you to go in with an attitude or with the thought that like you're better, because you're not. And that's something that this is I mean, everything I do is an aside, right? Basically. But as a side note, in my personal opinion, I think it's interesting that we say that source is love and we say that God is love and we say that the creator is all of this love, but it seems like the closer people get to it, the more judgmental they become, the more they think that they're above somebody else, the more that they think they're better. And it's like as you draw closer to source, it's almost like you would think that it would help you realize that you're not. Just because you're closer doesn't mean you're any better. Just because you're higher doesn't mean you're any further along. You know what I mean? But it also doesn't mean that you don't stand fully in who you are. It's one of those interesting dichotomic balance things that we do. So anyway, it looks gorgeous for you, Cancer. When did Cancer get so gorgeous? Hold on. If I could. Hold up. This isn't heavy enough. I need something heavy. It's fine. Wait. Going through an elevation. No. Is this? No. It's a little higher. I just hope it doesn't fall. I'm sure it'll be all right. It'll be all right. And it's also a little further. So 5230. We'll say 5240 for Gemini. I could have said 5235. It's fine. Gemini. I feel like I need to fill out Gemini before I just pull. Gemini, where does it feel like you are? It feels like Gemini is like in the hurricane, but also in the eye of the hurricane. It feels like Gemini is the hurricane, honestly. So it feels like Gemini is learning to balance its forces or to hold both poles. And you get soulless. Gemini is coming out with the sun. I mean, we just had that full moon Gemini where the moon was in Gemini, but Gemini said, no. But the gold in the palm of the hand, that big old fire in the back. Looking very like deserty almost. Okay. And then you have Anwilla, Willful Resistance, and Hegel, Hail Weathering. So yeah, it feels like you're in the storm, but also you are the storm. That weathering, standing, holding. 1, 7, and 9. Solace the Sun is number 1. Anvila is number 43. Hegel is number 9. Anvila is taking on, depending on the situation, Anvila is taking on a willpower energy. Since you're coming out with the Sun, Gemini, it's definitely a willpower. I don't know. It feels like a really intense period. And it's just like intense. It's not necessarily intense good. It's not necessarily intense bad. Like, I can't tell you what kind of intensity, but it's like, it feels like you're in something that's really intense and it's really important for you to hold on through it to weather the storm. Because of what you discover in it. Again, it feels like you're sort of learning to occupy both poles. Um, and um, and it's something that not only is it not necessarily super easy to do, it also feels like something that it's almost like your whole life you've had to pick a side, or people have made you feel like you have to pick a side because your mutability is too much. But it's almost like that's their problem. I mean, kind of yes, kind of no. Because it's like just because you occupy both poles doesn't mean that things have to be this constantly chaotic. You never know which side of Gemini you're gonna get. It feels like you find a balance in that. Again, it's like you become the storm when you're both in it and not. And I'm looking at these icosahedrons, dodecahedrons. I'm looking at these dodecahedrons, these 20-sided dice, and you got both sets. That makes me think of there was this dice promotion a long time ago, and I got it was like a light set and a darker set. It was like a cosmic purpley color. And the light set was like, oh, I'm the wizard that, whenever you roll a natural 20, which is the highest you can roll on a 20-sided die, and in Dungeons and Dragons, that means that you get to do something epic. He's like, I'm the one that gives you all your natural 20s. And like, I'm great. And then the other, like the chaos side, was like, I'm responsible for all your natural ones. One is the lowest you can get, and as epically great as the 20 is, that's as epically not great as the one is. But he was like, oh, I bet that the wizard of the 20 told you that I'm the reason why everything bad happens. But that's just a facet of life. This is a part of life. I'm not necessarily responsible. Well, he was like, I am the reason why you roll the ones, but you're going to roll a one every now and then. But it's like you're holding, long story short, you're holding both the order and the disorder, or the order and the chaos. And it's like, because of that, it's like as you weather that, your willpower grows to the point where you can encourage order from chaos, where you can be a force that sees paths and that sees ways when it's the most difficult. Because it's almost like the chaos of life that non-Gemini can get into is the natural state for Gemini. It's part of the natural state for Gemini. It's not the entire state of Gemini. And so it's like when you sort of reach that point within learning how to navigate yourself, you can help others learn to navigate it when it happens outside of themselves. You know what I mean? And you came out with the sun. So sorry. Everybody's Leo. I'm feeling Leo energy like everywhere. I mean, not just Leo, but here's another Leo energy. Because part of the duties of the sun is to, or part of the natural things that the sun does is it gives off light, and we need light to see. So because of our organic functioning, and because of the organic functioning of like everything on this planet, we need the sun. The sun didn't necessarily ask for it, the sun is just there. But that's why it feels like you can help. You can help guide if you so choose. and it's in the palm of your hand. I think that's the solar plexus. I think it's like, I think it's the solar plexus, but I think it's technically, I feel like it's a void for some reason. It's like dot on the tree of life, the void in the middle, where the 11th emanation should be, but there's nothing there. Interesting. I don't know, Guru Gemini, apparently. There you go, Gemini. Shine bright in all of your colors, but also, you know, it feels like Gemini can also enhance the storm or make the storm more chaotic. So it'd be great if you didn't for some. I'm sure. What was I thinking about? I think I was thinking about Uranus and Taurus. Yeah, last night for some reason. And it made me think of how it seems that a lot of astrology is based in the human experience, which is totally valid because we are people, but it's almost like the difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Celsius is based on water. Yeah, Celsius is based on water. Fahrenheit is based on people, right? And it's like water isn't everything, and water is the universal. So it makes sense to use Celsius as a standard of measurement for temperature. But also at the same time, we are humans having human experiences, and how we feel is also important because we are who we are. But it's almost like, so the point was like there are certain maybe placements that we're not comfortable with feeling. And so because we're not comfortable with it, we say that the planet isn't comfortable with it. Rather than just like we're not comfortable, but the planet in that sign is fine. Like the planet doesn't have any trouble. Like Venus being exalted in Pisces. Like, yeah, we love when Venus is exalted in Pisces because, why wouldn't we? But it's like, how does Venus feel though? That's how you feel when Venus is there. Anyway, I don't know. Is there a difference? Who knows? I don't know why this is coming up here in between Gemini and Libra. Well, maybe because we're talking about Libra and we're talking about balance. And when we talk about balance, it's important to notice where the fulcrum is. It's important to notice or to know who's making that judgment call. You know what I mean? Because if it ain't, there's almost like always bias anyway. We'll say 103.40. 103.40 for you. All right, Libra. You get acetum acetum vinegar, which is 34. We just had rune number 43. Anwala. Rune number 34 is calc. And I'm pretty sure calc came out. Yeah, there it is right there. Calc. Anyway, 34 is a 7. I actually want to read this before I pull your runes. Acetum, vinegar, acidity, distillation, memory. The tongue knows vinegar. Even the suggestion of receiving a few drops into the mouth reminds us of vinegar's sour and lip puckering qualities. In alchemy, vinegar serves as an active agent of distillation, fermentation, and preservation. It is incredibly useful when applied in the right amounts and with intention. This said, it can be easily overused, overwhelming the situation at hand. When the vinegar card is present in a reading, it indicates a sour note permeates the laboratory. It is likely something from the past is showing up in the present and demanding our attention. It is in vinegar's nature to take over, to overwhelm. Be cautious with this material. A little goes a long way. As they say, it is productive to look at your past, but not to stare. Such is the complex energy of vinegar. Libra's coming with complexity. Libra's like, I'm complex. I'm the scales. There are a lot of things that have to be considered when you're the energy of justice. When you have to pass judgment, you have to look at all sides. And it's like, yeah, Libra, you have to look at all sides. But not as like Libra, you know what I mean? I'm kidding. Ooh, you get Ice Grits, number 11. 7-11. Okay. And then you also get Gyotan 5712, which is gutting and resolve. I mean, there's definitely a blue-red contrast in here. And all the colors. Akhenaten talked about the past. So I would say that it almost feels like there's something from the past, Libra, that would actually be helpful for you. But you might have a tendency to get lost in the past. And so you just like throw it all away. Because the past is like vinegar, it's in its nature to overwhelm. There's something that you need in a small dose that will, because it feels like vinegar would help resolve something, but too much of it and it becomes its own issue. It becomes its own problem. And it's like Libra's not interested in trading problems for problems because you might as well keep the problems that you have. You know what I mean? Unless you're upgrading problems. You know what I mean? Like if your problems are like, oh my gosh, I have too much money and too much love and too much abundance, and I can only share so much. I need something that'll help me share more. It's a good problem to have. You know what I mean? There are problems that are problems, but they're like good problems to have. They're better problems to have than other problems. Um, and I'm just now noticing in all of, you see this swoop turns into this one tiny drop right there. You see that little black drop coming off the tip of this? It's like this is as much as you need, just that much. But when you try to pour it, you get all this. It's easy to overuse. And because this is East, because East can be the I, it's the self, it feels like, again, it's just something that's super easy to get lost in. And so to avoid getting lost, you avoid it entirely. But it, in part, it would be helpful in resolving something. I'm not going to say you need it. I'm not going to say you can't find a way to balance to achieve something. Because you're Libra, I'm sure you could find a way. Maybe. And I say maybe because maybe there are some times when there is no other way. There are some things that don't have many ways of access because they just don't. It's something that's needing to be resolved. Newly born, frightened first step, primary motion so uncertain, learning to walk while holding consciousness in its vessel and being caught out by life, but thriving and breathing deep. Hold still in naive stasis, calculate, plan, redefine, and absorb all that's needed to move forwards on the disheartening thin ice. Thin ice indeed. Well, if you're using vinegar, too much vinegar, you might eat through the ice and then you're plunged into the water. So rune 1 is 11, rune 2 is a 57-12, rune 3 is a 34-7. Or the not room 3, the alchemy is a 34/7. It feels like in order for you to make the next step, there is something that needs to be done. Or it's like there's something that you need to reevaluate. Not reevaluate, because sevens are huge. You have a 34/7 and then a 57. So the 7 and the 57 is the space of what you sort of need and provide. For me, when I look at double digits, the ones place is us, the tens place is not us. It could be spirit, it could be the environment. More often than not, it's like spirit or something subtle and energetic. On the 11, they're both a 1, so they're both leading forward. So it's like, it's like you're progressing and you feel the support as you're progressing. But then all of a sudden, we go from a 1 to a 5 in the other slash spirit. So there's like a change or a pivot that needs to be made. And then it puts you in the space of a 7 where you have to come into greater spiritual knowledge, we'll just say, because it's easiest to say that for a 7. The 7 that you need to come into, it's here in the alchemy, it's a 34. 3s are catalytic, meaning they inspire change in something else, but they in and of themselves are not changed. 3 can be life, because life happens and we respond to life, but life continues. Sometimes we happen to life, but when we happen to life, life balances itself out. And there's a 4 in the ones place. This 3 and 4 is the 7. So it's like, as you were sort of going along and as you were met, as this 11 was happening, there's a foundation that you built and established. There's a set of rules that you discovered, and that set of rules is the fulcrum for you that you use to weigh your life. Now, the spirit other is asking for change, which directly conflicts with that 4 that you're holding. It's assisting you with the 3. It's assisting you by giving you experiences to either help broaden your foundation or to help you recognize and realize certain rules that you've been operating under are like no longer valid. Or like it's either like they've been debunked or you've moved into a space where the laws are different. Maybe you were in a space where everything had to be highly governed because of the nature of the place and the people in the place. It's almost one of those like we shouldn't have to tell people not to like steal from other people or not to kill other people or to it's like you shouldn't have to tell somebody to be a decent person. You know what I mean? Type of energy. But people weren't decent people, so then we had to make laws. And so everything became highly governed because of the nature of the place, because of the natures of the people in the place. But when you come out of that, and that's a lot of this like past energy, but when you come out of that, it's no longer necessary because people aren't like that here because the nature of this place isn't like that. So we come into a lot of, it's easiest to say like moral and ethical codes, like personal moral and ethics, where it's like, I wouldn't do that to somebody else because that's a not great thing to do to somebody. And so then it's like, oh, I don't have to regulate this anymore. I don't have to be as vigilant. You can let things go. You can let things be. And when you ease into that, that's what gives, it's like spirit moves from that 3 energy of catalysis to a 5, where it's like they can really change things. Either way, in a 3 or a 5, you're going to get change. But I think that also goes back to how we feel as people. A 5, it's so much change, and people, I guess, generally don't like change. So it's seen as a not great number. But it's also interesting that for creatures that don't like change, we sure ask for a lot of things that we don't have. We desire change, but at the same time, we don't like it and we don't want it. And it's like, but you want all of this stuff that you don't have. If you had it, you wouldn't want it, but you don't want the change that it's going to take to get you the things. So now we have to play all of these games to try to get you to the place that you want to be, while making you as safe and comfortable as you can be. We'll put you in a delicate little handbasket and we'll walk real slow so as not to disturb you. And maybe it'll take a few thousand years, but that's fine. Your progenitors will appreciate it. Anyway, sorry. But that's what it's going to take to resolve something. It's going to take something that you can be easily lost in. And it feels like it feels like you can be baby stepped there if you need to be. It feels like you'll be guided in that direction. It feels like it won't necessarily be expected that you do everything all at once, even though it might feel like it. Because the first thing that's going to change is your environment. Or it's like there are going to be things in your environment that inspire you to change. But when you're facing that inspiration, you're going to be in the energy of 4. You're going to be comfortable with your knowing of how things work. And you're going to be comfortable in your super quick justice and your super quick decision making, even though people say Libras are indecisive. Because you've established a solid whatever over the course of your life. Maybe it'll help you realize that you've been a bit hasty sometimes, seeing things as something else to making a judgment and a ruling easier so you can get through it quicker. And maybe in that it was easy for you to overlook and miss things that were clearly telling you it's a different situation. It's not the same. But again, it's because of the nature of the thing that is to overwhelm that you don't really want to engage in it. So I guess dealing with the overwhelm, and I'd never finished the thought. But that's another thing that this past year in my life has taught me. There were things that I avoided because I wasn't great at them when I couldn't see anything. And now that I had my cataracts removed, I can see stuff a lot better, but they were still challenging. There were things at work that I didn't want to do, and I had somebody at work who would do it until she was gone. But in me doing it, I got better at it. And that's why I was like, it's such a no-brainer thing because to say, but that realization has been kind of profound. How are you ever going to get better at something if you never do it, if you never try? You might discover that things aren't as hard as you thought they'd be. Because again, something has changed, including you. So give yourself the opportunity to see how much you've changed and to see how strong you've become. And to see that you don't have to lose out on so much. The losing out seems like it's a potential effect, but it feels like that's the only way I can phrase it. Maybe it's because these are general readings and it's going to resonate and apply for everybody differently. Some people, it might not resonate at all. If you're one of those people, don't take it. You know what I mean? Don't try to force it to fit if it doesn't fit. It's not for you. 11911 is Aquarius. 11. Psych, it's like 11915. Oh, snap, I missed Kirsty. Hey, Kirsty. I'm sorry. I don't know if you came in when I was like on looking to see what my friend was up to. So, no problem, Janelle. I hope it really, I hope it really helps because I don't know, it feels like we're in the space of some really beautiful things, but I don't know. I hope it helps. We're going to say, ooh, ooh, ooh. Aquarius, I almost want to feel where. Oh, okay. I was gonna say I almost want to feel where Steph. Hey, Steph, how you doing? Um, I thought I would have to look for Aquarius, and it feels like Aquarius is like right here, and I'm like, okay, Aquarius, you're getting a little close. You're a little closer than you usually are. Maybe it's because Uranus is in Taurus, and my rising is in Taurus, and my moon is in Taurus, and that's why I feel Aquarius, and my Saturn is in Aquarius. Maybe it's not me. Maybe it's you. Maybe Aquarius is just like, ooh, okay, Aquarius. Aquarius is coming out with a 65. No, 45. This is a 45-9. The Great Serpent. Ouroboros. Ouroboros. What are your runes? Because Ouroboros doesn't necessarily feel like right here. You get Mona, Moon, recognize, and Was. It came out in reverse, but I'll take it upright. Sap, impassioned, number 46. "46 is a 10, 45 is a 9. Hold up. Yeah, 45, 46. I don't know why I was thinking there was a number between 45 and 46. I'm like, wait, how are 45? I think I was thinking 44 in my brain because I was thinking of the shifting thing, the IV to the VI, but it's a V to the VI. Is there a number between 44 and 40 or 45 and 46? These are the only two decks I brought with me, so I'm just a little slow today, apparently. Who is this, Aquarius? Maybe this is why Aquarius is so close. I'm like, ooh. If you're an Aquarius, I promise, I mean no offense. It's just usually you're not that close. It's not that Aquarius is usually, it's more so the fact that like I thought I would have had to like be all the way out here. You know what I mean? To find Aquarius. I was like, oh, I'm about to go on an adventure. Where are you, Aquarius? And Aquarius is like, I'm right here. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Well, that wasn't much of an adventure, Aquarius, but I'm glad that you're less elusive. I'm glad that you're welcoming yourself into the fold. So I am currently on Aquarius stuff. I've done Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, Gemini, and Libra. For anyone interested, the proceeding order, I might not get through all of these today. Or I might not get through all of these right now because I'm gonna have to. Whenever my buddy gets ready, I'm gonna have to shower and then we're gonna go out. Oh, location. LOL. Well, if anyone's still also curious, I've got Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius left. I'm in Indy right now. I'm seeing I call him my ex roomie. We were roommates for like my last year and a half of school. And I'm also seeing my best friend. I get to see my best friend tomorrow, and I'm so excited. She's a Sagittarius. Not that that means anything, but if you're curious, she's a November Sag, though, so her birthday already passed. It's her golden year. She was born on the 29th, and she turned 29. But I went to her wedding 2 years ago, I guess. It feels like it was last year, but maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't know. Yeah, because it was in like, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, I saw her like, but I had to travel for the wedding, so I didn't really get to see her. It's been years, but she has tomorrow off, so I get to see her tomorrow. So I'm really excited. I'm glad this weekend trip ended up happening because I needed it. But I was like, it's so short notice. It's so short notice. I don't know if I can do it. But here I am. I'm glad for that. Oh, I'm hungry. I just got real hungry. And I didn't go to breakfast because my buddy was like, oh, in 3 years, I hope you get to see your best friend too. Yeah, because I think it would have been about 2018, maybe. Because I feel like spring 2018 was the last time I saw her. Outside of the wedding, where I got to literally see her and then exchange a few lines of dialogue before I had to leave. And that's also the awkward thing about weddings is because like they have a whole like everybody is there for them and so they go and talk to everybody and I'm like I need more time and I went to go see one of my other really good friends because she got married and it's like I literally barely got to talk to her. I had to find her before I had to leave. Um, but anyway, this might get real awkward. It's fine. Let me see where my battery is real quick. Okay, I'm back. I need to charge. There we go. I needed to charge my phone. Mona, phone. I needed to charge my phone. Mona. There we go. Is in Detroit. Ooh. Hopefully you get to go in a part of the year that's like beautiful too. Because you know, Michigan gets snow. Unless you want snow, then you know. I'm hungry. Okay. Aquarius. Mona was. Oh yeah. Okay. So it feels like this moon is in the Great Serpent. For the moon to be in the Great Serpent, maybe you're going through a process of emotional awakening, an emotional rebirth. I don't want to reduce it to emotions because it feels like it's the realm of connectivity in general. Because again, like I thought I would have to go looking for you, but you were literally right there. And maybe it's because it's the two tags for that are sticking out for me. It's recognized and impassioned. Maybe you have recognized or you are recognizing it feels like it goes a little deeper than recognizing passions because it's impassioned. And it's interesting because it feels like this being impassioned, it's like it draws something from you. And it feels like a passion is something that you do that brings you a lot of joy, that you can dedicate a lot of time to, but it doesn't necessarily feel like it elicits the same response as being impassioned, you know. Impassioned feels like it's, I mean, they're both kind of fiery, but maybe in exploring your passions, you found something that like really calls to you. And the question pops into my mind, well, like, what does this mean? I don't know if that's something that you're asking yourself, but the only way you'll find out is by engaging. So you're engaging. Maybe that's why you're a little less elusive. I think there's been an energy here too that's about like being in those spaces, finding those spaces, or recognizing that there are elements in our current environments that welcome, embrace, and encourage authentic expression. And so it's almost like there's no reason for you to be so elusive. Because I don't know, Aquarian energy, because of how, because of everything that every Aquarian stereotype that I know, and it's not great to stereotype people, I know. But it feels like, oh, one second, it might be time for me to go. But it feels like, I'm gonna check this real quick. I'm gonna give him a second to see if he sent anything else. It feels like there just weren't a lot of spaces where you felt genuine excitement, maybe. Or it's like maybe there was excitement, but there wasn't necessarily something that encouraged such, I keep wanting to say like visceral, but in the best way, response from you. And so you just live kind of sort of detached because it's not, it's just like, because again, it just feels like it's, you never really found something to anchor to, if that makes sense. See you later, Steph. I hope you have a great Sunday. Oh, yeah, you did say you're from Detroit. I forgot about that. All right, let me see what he's saying. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, Aquarius. But if you watch this in post, you might not even see the interruption. If you're live, then you will. I am back. Sorry. But yeah, that's what it's like reading like, or that's what it's feeling like. It's just like you never maybe necessarily came across something that called to you so deeply, so that's why you just like didn't get involved so deeply. But now you're recognizing something. It feels like this recognition that's externally motivated leads to something that's significantly internal, something significant about you. And that's why it feels like, oh, what does this mean? This could also be because of that energy of like, it's not you, it's just the environments that you've been in. There may be ways that you thought you were, but again, like you're discovering that it's not necessarily that. You just didn't, it's like you didn't have access to those things, right? Like, let's say that you love horseback riding, but you've never been on a horse before. It makes me think of that scene in Lucifer where where Maze goes to approach God. And God's like, hey, Maze, I was waiting for you. I made you your favorite drink. And she was like, that's not my favorite drink. And he was like, try it. And then she was like, well, it is pretty good. It's like you love horseback riding, but you've never been on a horse before. One day you go on a horse, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I love this. But then it's almost like it becomes this more significant thing. Maybe you've got Mercury in Pisces. You don't have to have Mercury in Pisces. But it's like maybe you're on the horse and you're like, oh my gosh, I love like this feeling of horseback riding. And maybe it gets you into like, well, what do you love about it? Maybe it's a feeling of liberation. Maybe it's a feeling of momentum. Maybe it's a whole bunch of things. And that then in turn inspires you to seek more of that in other areas of your life. And so now all of a sudden you're creating a life, or you're finding places that enliven you so deeply that you're not that same detached, loose, floating person. You find a space, or you create a space, or both, where like you are welcomed in everything, so you can be freely and fully embracing and embraced. Oh, see, I was gonna say, in the belly of the Ouroboros, things become golden. It's almost like as they're coated in the gestational secretions, it produces this chemical reaction that turns it into gold. And so I was like, oh, you're going to be coming into a golden moon. The moon is going to turn gold. And then in Was, it's like there's this emerging golden orb coming out of all of this life coded energy. But it also looks very tumultuous. But it also looks very like fungal. You know what I mean? Fungal in a way of interconnectedness, also in a way of um, not reapers, not reavers, decomposers. Yeah. In a way of bringing back to life, or in a way of decomposing to nurture, supply nutrients for life, something. But it also feels like there are these like waves that are sort of happening down here. It feels like the sky's a little stormy up here. Looks like, oof, maybe Aquarius is about to feel alive for like the first time. Right? You're about to introduce to a new kind of living. Maybe, I don't know. All right, Aquarius, that was you. I'm gonna check this before I head over to Capricorn. 1 second. Okay. But I love that for you, Aquarius. It looks good on you. Looks very good on you. And it's very, it's like you're not who you've always been. It's just the environments and the environments and situations didn't necessarily elicit these warm things inside of you. So, not to say that you are cold. I love Aquarius. It's okay. Capricorn, Capooty Pooty Pooty Con 137.50, we'll say 137.52 for you, Capricorn. Your rune, I say your rune and I reach for the alchemy, is Stanum 10, number 21. 21. This is immediately making me think of something piezoelectric. And something piezoelectric, there's a translation between like pressure. It's when pressure creates like vibration, question mark? No, it's not vibration. Pressure becomes electricity. And then that electricity can be used to do whatever, right? So I know like some piezoelectric things, they might also produce like sound, but it's because of pressure that it's created. And it feels like there's two or multiple plates of tin pressing together, and then these are like shooting out of it because of the pressure. Pressure for Capricorn, groundbreaking, revolutionary. Under pressure, but you shine. Man, myself, humankind is your first rune. Number 20, 2021. What? Okay, can we get a 22? Can we get a 2022? Thank you, Kirsty. And then Bjork. We can't get a 22, but we can get an 18. Begin and Poplar Tree. Poplar. Why do I feel like Capricorn was like the first sign? I mean, you are cardinal. Mm-hmm. I will read you Stanham. 10. This is also Jupiter. Okay. Malleable, expansive, and Jupiter. Tin is a silvery white, highly malleable metal. This is in part because tin's structure is composed of crystals and cubic or tetragonal formations that can be broken or crushed under moderate pressure. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. This is giving me like piezoelectric energy. When the crystalline structure breaks, a sound known as the tin cry can be heard, hence the unnerving sound of crinkling tinfoil. Such is the energy of the tin card. On one hand, it is in tin's Jupiterian nature to expand, to mobilize, to cover the whole territory. On the other hand, the metal cannot withstand much weight or pressure. When this card appears, you may have reached a limit or breaking point after taking on more than is logistically possible under the circumstances. Don't take this juncture personally. More strength is required before taking next steps to support the expansion you see in your mind's eye. To ponder, reflection as illumination. I'm actually going to read these for you. Be like tin today. If a good cry or wail needs to be heard, let it happen. It'll release the pressure in the laboratory and you'll have a whole new perspective. In esoteric wisdom traditions, Jupiter and tin are associated with the liver. It's possible the liver may have a wise message to reveal, perhaps about excess and balance. I know if you drink too much, then you get liver troubles. The liver is the purifier, right? Or one of the purifiers, livers and kidneys. Ooh, there's a mouth. There's a mouth here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like, see, this is the chin. These are the lips. That's the bottom lip and the upper lip. But like the rest of the face, I don't necessarily see. The emphasis is on the mouth. Maybe a good wail and a good cry will do you some good. Maybe if you're under a lot of pressure, speak up. 20 is judgment. Maybe that's the judgment energy that you're in. Let's just speak up. Say something. I'm sorry. I gotta keep looking. Capricorn. Huh? I'm like, I don't even know where I am anymore. 1 second. All right, Capricorn, you will be my last sign. And then I'll do Virgo, Taurus, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius later. I almost ended it after Aquarius because that was like 6 signs, but it's fine. It might be time for you to speak. And it's like there are things that you can sort of tolerate and put up with, but it's not necessarily for you to. It's like just because you can doesn't mean you should have to. There was something else in there that spoke to me. Oh, it says, when this card appears, you may have reached a limit or breaking point after taking on more than is logistically possible under the circumstances. It feels like just change the circumstances. Just change the circumstances is easier said than done, but 21 is the world card in the tarot. So it is creating a world card energy, or it's carrying a world card energy where that pressure, the pressure is used to help you see or create a way forward. It's 1 through 20, so we can use tarot majors. You have judgment, the world, and then the moon. I think the moon is coming out because you don't know where that path will necessarily take you. It's unknown. And Aquarius just had Mona, the moon rune. And in this, it feels like it's almost like in you speaking up or establishing boundaries, you'll get to explore a whole nother side of yourself or to yourself. It's almost like you've always had to be the responsible one. And because you've always had to be the responsible one, you've always had to make sacrifices. It almost, there are some threads of what came up for Aquarius where it's just like life never necessarily presented to you, or life hasn't yet presented you, or this is how it's reading. Take it if it resonates. If it don't take it. But it's like life never really presented you with an opportunity for you to be anything but responsible and hardworking and providing for someone else. And so you never necessarily really got to fully explore like what you like and what you want. Like you don't necessarily get to do things for your enjoyment. And again, it's like just because you can tolerate the pressure, just because you can be there for everybody and do everything, doesn't mean you should necessarily have to. Because everything that you provide for other people, you also deserve. And then there's a question of where do I begin? And Capricorn, I don't have the answer for that for you. But I'd say explore. And maybe start small, you know? Like maybe let's say that instead of going full hog and like I'm taking a month or a week to just go and do whatever, maybe you start with like a weekend or a day or a few days. Maybe there are things that happen in your town, like there's poetry nights on Fridays or whatever. If your town has a website where you can see like little local events going on, maybe you just start by checking stuff like that out. And then as you find things you enjoy, you can dedicate more time, you can invest more fully. Um, Almost like a dating around type of energy where you just get to know people. But instead of getting to know people, you're getting to know yourself. I think it's also worth mentioning that pressure can create things that are beautiful. And that's why we have Capricorns. Although, like I said, you shouldn't have to be um, under that pressure like constantly. But that's what I got for you, Capricorn. I hope all of y'all have a good whatever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Again, I'll be back probably later tonight for Virgo, Taurus, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Um, if you sat through this, I hope you find something that resonates. If you sat through this and you don't find something that resonates, I hope you the wisdom to not try to make things fit anyway. Because if it's almost like we're at that point where it's like if it's not for you, it's not really going to benefit you. Because it's a time, it just feels like it's a time for being. Um, or it's a time for stepping more fully into ourselves as ourselves because of what and all of the chaos that's going on life has the opportunity to offer us because the world is less fixed and it's more fluid and flexible because so many people are seeking, because so many people are on paths of awakening and enlightenment and journeying and just thinking of and considering things that they didn't necessarily before, because in a way it also seems that it seems that lines of communication between different religious and spiritual beliefs are also opening, because it seems like people are more in a place to see where there's overlap. And so it'll be like, oh, this in your belief is this in my belief, and the words are different, and maybe the energies are like different because of how we apply these words and use these words, but the vibe is still there. Like the similarities are there. And so now, like, it seems like there's more of an understanding between rather than condemnation and religio spiritual superiority and stuff like that. I said more. There's more. I'm not going to say it's necessarily ever present, but it seems like I'm seeing it a lot more, which is gorgeous. So anyway, I hope y'all have an amazing whatever again, and whatever you need, I hope you find. And until next time, you have a good one. If you want,